Hello and welcome to blog number 71, me learning to play the Melodeon. I thought I'd show you around this box today. I've had this for about 5 years. It's an ADG 3-row box. I'd like to tell you why I've got this box, why you might want one and why you might want to avoid something like this. So basically I'm going to show you around it and explain kind of how it works and what the layout is. Don't confuse this type of box with a BCC sharp. Now that will look a bit different on the bass because it won't have this type of Melodeon bass. It'll have a Stradella bass, a bit like that you see on a piano accordion. This side will have the 3 rows, but they're in the keys of B, C and C sharp. This is A, D and G. So this row is A, this row is D and this row is G. You get all the notes of the chord of A major on the push on this row. And on this row it's D, D major chord, and this row it's G major chord. Okay, and obviously on the pull you get all the notes that you don't find in those chords, but in those particular keys. Some Melodians have 3 rows, 2 complete rows, and what we call a helper row, a 0.5 or a 0.4 or a 0.2 or even a 0.6. So you'll see two extra buttons on this row, or you'll see 5 or 4 or 6, and usually what you have there are a whole bank of accidentals or reversals, notes you can't get in a certain direction on the 2 main rows. But this isn't one of those type of Melodians. So is it like having 2 Melodians rolled into one? Is it like having a DG and an AD? Because you can get an AD box where the lower row is A and the higher row is D. Is it like having those 2 boxes rolled into one? And the answer is, in some ways yes, and in other ways no. So let me be more specific. So I've very crudely just covered up this A row, and I've covered up some basses here. So what you see now is a DG box with accidentals. 8 basses here, the D row and the G row. So an ADG box has got a DG box inside it, if you like. So what you can actually see here, ignore the things that are covered up, that's a DG box. 8 bass, 2 rows, you've got the accidentals on the ends, exactly the same, and there's no differences at all. You've got the C basses in both directions. The whole thing is exactly the same, and you can see all the layouts on Melodeon.net, and I'll put the address on your screen now. So that is a DG box. On an AD box, so imagine you had this row and this row, but not this row, okay, and you had 8 basses on the left hand side. What is different is, well, you've got the accidental E flat F, this is on an AD box, but on this button you've got E and G sharp, but on an ADG you go straight to the root note. So that's your root note of the, that note there is the A, that's the root note, so you go straight to the root or the tonic on the second button. So on a proper dedicated AD box you've got the note E on the push, G sharp on the pull there, before you go down to the A, which is on button 3. But on an ADG, like I say, you don't get that button, you go straight to the root note on button 2. On the other 2 rows, like I said, same as the DG, so the root note's on the 3rd button, there and there. So A, D, G. See? So that's one thing you lose by choosing an ADG over an AD. Now on an AD box, on this button, on the D row, you get a C and a B flat. Okay, so it's C on the push, B flat on the pull. On this box you get G sharp and B flat, or A flat and B flat. And the reason you don't have a C is because you've got the C note on the G row, because if you've just got an AD box, you haven't got that note of C. But the E flat and the F, that's the same on an ADG and an AD. So that's one little change you've got to be aware of. I mean, it's not really a problem because, you know, in either case you've got the C note that you don't get in either of the keys. On the ADG box you've got F and E flat and E flat and F, so round the other way and an octave apart. So you've got essentially the same notes there, albeit an octave apart and reversed. It's really the chords where the compromise comes. You've got a 4-chord trick in G. You've got G, E minor, C and D. Typical 4-chord trick in G, and of course you've got a 3-chord trick G, C, D. You've also got a 4-chord trick in D, which you don't have on a normal DG. You've got D, B minor, G and A. Okay, so you've got B minor. I mean, a lot of people with a DG, I should say, they tune this button to B minor. This is a B major from the factory. You always get a B major here, but you could retune that to minor. The only problem is, of course, you've got quite a big jump around D, B minor, and then all the way down there for the G and up for the A. So it's quite a lot of stretching about. I mean, 12 basses, that's quite a lot of movement for your left hand. You've got a 3-chord trick in A. You've got A, D and E up here. So that's something you've got and you don't have on the DG. And you've got a 3-chord trick in E, which is E, okay, A and B down here. On these 2 buttons here, if it's an AD, just the 8 basses, you've got your B minor there, so you haven't got the big stretch up to the B minor that you've got on this ADG box. What is really cool about a 3-row box like this is you've got the 3 keys laid out very tidily. If you just want like a 2-chord song. So you've got your A and E, push, pull, and just move down 2 buttons, and you've got your D and A. Go to the D row, play the same tune. And of course you just drop down another couple of buttons. You've got G and D and move over to the G row. So that's great, isn't it? You've got the 3 keys all very tidily laid out in basses, A and E, and then D and A, and then G and D. But obviously it gets more complicated as you start adding in more chords. You have to bear in mind that more rows means more buttons means heavier. Okay, so this Hohner Compadre is about £9. That's about £3 heavier than my Hohner Erica. So yeah, it's not ridiculously heavy, but it is, you know, I can feel it's quite a weight around my neck here. So that's something to bear in mind. I mean, I'd say that an AD box is better for playing in D. I mean, you take that to a DG. On the DG, the G is a much better key to play in the sense you've got far more choices than you have when you're playing in D. So similarly, when you're playing on an AD box, the D key is kind of king. You get far more choices in that key. And also, I have to say, AD boxes are fairly rare. I mean, I've been playing Melodeon quite a few years and keep my eye on the adverts like you do. AD boxes do crop up, but not as much as ADG boxes. Usually you see either these things, Hohner Compadres, or the old Hohner Coronas. This type of box, this ADG, is great for cross-row stuff, and I played like that for a long while. Before I started playing for Morris, I did an awful lot of stuff cross-row. You'll see some of my early videos playing things like the Bluebell Polka on this. I mean, it probably looks a bit weird if you're like a normal Morris player, but I kind of made it work and I really enjoyed it. And it's nowhere near as tiring, of course, as the endless inning and outing of the bellows that you get with the other style. So you can get some very posh 3-row boxes. Castanari do a nice one called a Benny in ADG, and that's obviously much higher quality than this poor old Compadre, which has seen better days. But it plays all right, and I do like the sound of it. But obviously something like a Benny, Castanari Benny, is going to play a lot better, be a lot easier to play. Weight-wise, I'm not sure, probably much the same, I would think. Also, of course, if you go for a GCF, that's exactly the same thing, but a tone lower. So this row's G, this row's C, this row's F. You've seen quite a few videos of me playing that. And it's exactly the same thing bass wise and tune wise, just down one tone. So same idea completely. So what's the best box for you? Well, if you are thinking of playing English stuff or playing for the Morris, then I would say definitely a DG box is your best bet. ADG is great to have kind of in the wings for the things you can't get on the DG, but for me now it certainly wouldn't be my main box. Years ago I guess it was, but you know, things change, needs change. I started playing for the Morris a year ago and immediately kind of binned the idea of doing it on a 3-row like this. So there we are. You may have been a bit confused when you've been looking at these boxes and thinking, do I get one of these or do I get a DG? Hopefully this has helped you make up your mind whether you want one or not. Have any questions, of course, do get in contact with me either via YouTube or on my website, and the address is on your screen now. Hope you found this video useful. If you did, please press the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and if you hit that bell icon you'll get a notification every time I upload something to YouTube. Thanks very much for watching, and you'll see me in the next video.